It sounds like a need to know thing, right?
It's weird. I feel like I'm in Colorado.
What part of Colorado?
Out in the desert like Red Junction.
Yeah?
But then I end up in Amarillo.
Amarillo?
I don't know why I end up there. I guess that's an ugly place.
It's an ugly place?
It's crap.
Crap.
Well, we made it through the big hurdle. I have several more hurdles I have to complete before I would be back on my truck, that's for sure. But the big one is done. I thought I'd talk about how that went. So I had to be there 5 in the morning. I got a hotel for my parents and I, so we spent the night right down the street. Got up at 4 in the morning, took a shower, got in the car, went over. They have free valet parking, so my parents parked the car there. We were there just before 5 o'clock. Walked in, I was actually, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was kind of surprised there were other people there to have heart surgery.
What are y'all doing here?
So on the button, 5 o'clock, he called us all up, took our names one at a time. Got to me, I was like the 4th person or so, got to me, said, hey, take the elevator to the 3rd floor, there'll be a waiting room and somebody will call for you. And my parents and I got up there, sat down with some other people, and I was probably the 4th or 5th person they called. They escorted my parents and I to a room where I was instructed to change into a gown. And in that room, the first thing they do is they start kind of prepping you. That's where they would have shaved my body, but the nurse was very pleased that I had shaved my body.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So they wiped me down with some kind of antibiotic. They put the first IV in me, and that went in right there at the crease in my left arm. Asked me a bunch of questions. Am I allergic to anything? Checked my blood pressure. And they took 2 vials of blood, got me into a wheelchair, wheeled me down to the hall, into an elevator, and down to the 2nd floor. Down through this maze of rooms, it looked like something out of a ER or something, where they had all these curtains.
You are in a hospital, man.
And on the curtains had somebody's last name on there. Went around the corner, and the first curtain on the right, they wheeled me into there, had me hop onto the bed. And there a nurse met with me, asked me who I was, made sure they had the right person in the right room, gonna do the right thing. And then the anesthesiologist came in there and he explained the drugs that he was going to put in me and how he was gonna do it, and that I wouldn't feel a thing. And in there, they put another IV. I believe that one was the one that went into my right wrist. The next thing they did, like I said, probably was in there maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes tops. And at that point, that is when my parents were escorted to a waiting room on the 2nd floor there, and I was wheeled down a hall. And I remember as I was wheeling down the hall, the anesthesiologist pushed a little drug into me, and I felt it just like that. I could start feeling myself starting to get a little loopy. Went around a corner, said hop into the bed, and I got into the bed, laid down, and there probably was, I don't know, 5 or 6 people in there. I never saw the doctor that was going to do the surgery. Even though I've met him, I never saw him in there, never talked to him. As a matter of fact, I didn't talk to anybody. They just had me plop into the bed. The last thing I remember was that anesthesiologist was standing behind me and he said, good night. And I remember saying good night back, and that is the last thing I remember for at least, I don't know, 4 hours. I believe the surgery took approximately 3 hours because my parents said they got a phone call around noon that I was out of surgery. I had my surgery done at Baylor, Scott & White in Plano, Texas. After surgery, they wheeled me from the 2nd floor to the 6th floor, and that was my room for the rest of my stay there. They make it an ICU room for the first 2 hours. So that's really why my parents couldn't be in there, because there was a lot of nurses and doctors and doing things to kind of get me woken back up, get me going. So through that 2 hours, I really don't remember much. I do remember asking a nurse where I was at, and they told me I was on the 6th floor. I do remember that. I remember somebody asking me if I knew where I was at, and I knew I was in Plano, Texas. My brain was thinking that I was in Colorado, but my mental knowledge, I guess, part was going, no, you're in Plano. But I could see Grand Junction, Colorado in my head. I could see the desert there. I could see scrub brush, rocks and dirt. I felt that I was there. So I was a little confused, but I knew I was in Plano. But I felt my body was over here. And then at some point it changed rather quickly, and I felt I was in Amarillo. I have no idea why I felt I was in either one of those places. I have no ties to either one of them at all. I've been to both, but I don't have any connection or desire to necessarily live in those two areas. So it's very odd to me, but it was very distinct things. Cadillac Ranch was one of the things I could see, and that's why I felt I was in Amarillo at some point. But every time they asked me, I said I was in Plano. But the weirdest thing of all of them, this was relayed to me by my sister. I told my sister that at the foot of the bed was a 7-foot tall woman, but she had no head.
Headless and angry.
And I told my sister she won't leave. My sister's the best. She's very good with the one-liners and quick to help you out. She's the best. And she says, "Hey, did you ask her to leave?" And I said, "Yes, but she won't leave." And she said, "Well, how about if we both ask her?" Okay. And my sister and I, and I don't remember it, told her to leave. And my sister asked me, "Is she gone?" And I said, "Yes, she's gone." But I have no memory of that conversation or that 7-foot headless woman. I have no any of it. I don't know any of it. But my sister relayed that that's what we talked about.